Welcome to Book Bites, your weekly dose of literary delight. We dive into Amazon's top-selling books, giving you the lowdown on what's hot and what's not. Join us as we uncover hidden gems, discuss captivating storylines, and analyze the minds of best-selling authors. Whether you're a seasoned reader or just starting your literary journey, there's something for everyone. So grab a cup of coffee, get cozy, and let's get reading.
Okay, so ready to dive in?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Awesome. So today we're tackling The Technological Republic by Alexander Karp.
Okay.
And, you know, if the name doesn't ring a bell, Karp is the CEO of Palantir.
Right.
Which, if you don't know, it's this data analytics and AI company. You know, they work a lot with governments and national security.
Yeah.
And this book, it's kind of a fascinating take on where the West stands. You know, in a world where tech and power, those goalposts are constantly moving.
Definitely, always shifting.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, Karp's argument is that the West, we're kind of losing our edge. That Silicon Valley, well, they need to, you know, really step up their game.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, hard power. Like, it matters more than we think.
Interesting. It's a timely topic for sure, especially with everything going on globally.
It is, right? And to have someone like Karp saying it, you know, someone who's really embedded in the tech world.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just some outsider looking in.
Right? He's in the thick of it. And one of the things that really jumped out at me, like really struck me, was this whole argument about ambition, or I guess you could say the lack of it, like Western ambition. He says we've gotten so complacent, so risk-averse.
Yeah.
It's all about short-term gains, instant gratification, not the long game.
Very short-sighted.
Yeah. And he has this great metaphor, I think it was. He compares the West to like a once great athlete who now seeks comfort over competition.
Ooh, I like that. That's a powerful image.
Right. It really drives the point home. And for Karp, part of the problem is Silicon Valley. He says they're too busy with, you know, social media, the latest gadget, all that.
Yeah, the shiny new toy syndrome.
Exactly. He thinks we've lost sight of the big picture, like national security, global challenges, the stuff that takes, you know, long-term vision and a willingness to, like, really take risks.
Right.
So I'm curious, what do you think? Does any of that ring true for you?
Oh, totally. It's so easy to get swept up in the hype cycle, the latest consumer tech.
Yeah.
But Karp's right. There are bigger things at play. And it's like he's saying, hey, let's use tech for, you know, to actually address these big challenges, not just for entertainment or convenience.
Exactly. And then he goes on to talk about this rift that's growing, you know, between the tech industry and the government. And he argues that this lack of trust, super dangerous, especially when you look at, you know, the competition heating up from countries like China.
For sure.
And so he calls for this renewed partnership, almost like, you know, hearkening back to World War II.
Oh, interesting.
Where, you know, tech played such a pivotal role in the Allied victory.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, think about the Manhattan Project, right?
Oh, yeah, with the atomic bomb.
Yeah, you had scientists, engineers, all working with the government, shoulder to shoulder.
A massive undertaking.
Right, but it shows you what's possible when everyone's got that shared sense of urgency, you know? Like, we're in this together.
Definitely. Making wonder what we could accomplish today if we could just, you know, bridge that gap between Silicon Valley and Washington. You know?
Totally. It's like, what if, you know, but then it gets even more interesting, okay? Because Karp, he doesn't stop there. He goes on to make this pretty bold claim about hard power.
Hard power.
Yeah, and by that he means like military strength, technological superiority.
Okay, got it.
And he's basically saying the West, we've leaned too heavily on soft power, you know, culture, diplomacy, all that.
Yeah, soft power, right.
Exactly. And he's not saying it's useless, but he's like, wake up, people. We need to be ready to use hard power when it's necessary.
That's a pretty strong statement.
It is. It's controversial for sure.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you always run the risk of, you know, things escalating, getting too militaristic when you start emphasizing hard power.
Right. There's a balance there for sure.
But Karp's argument is, look, we can't be naive. We have to be real about how power works in the 21st century, especially with technology becoming, you know, the heart of everything.
It's true. Tech is so central now.
It is. And speaking of tech, this brings us to what Karp has to say about AI.
Okay.
And he sees it as this game changer, right? This technology that can, like, reshape the world. No joke.
It does have that potential.
Yeah, but he's also worried that, you know, the West, we're falling behind, you know, the race to develop and, you know, control AI. So he's saying we got to invest big time in AI research development.
Yeah.
Not just to stay ahead, but to make sure that AI, you know, it's used ethically.
Yeah, that's a key point. AI can be incredibly beneficial, but if it's not developed responsibly, the risks are huge.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting because, here's Karp talking about AI, and then you have Palantir.
Right, right.
His company's right there, developing, implementing these very technologies.
It adds a whole other layer to it, doesn't it?
Totally. It's like, okay, got to take that into account.
Definitely. Important to recognize his position and, any potential biases, I guess.
Absolutely. But even setting that aside, his points about, how important AI is and this whole ethical side of things.
Yeah.
That's worth thinking about,
For sure.
And then he doesn't stop at tech. He goes on to talk about this need for like a cultural and intellectual renewal in the West.
Interesting.
He's concerned that we've become, intellectually fragile, too quick to shy away from anything that's, a little uncomfortable, a little challenging.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is killing innovation. It's stifling critical thinking.
Which we need to progress.
Exactly. He even uses this phrase, it's pretty striking, the tyranny of the minority.
The tyranny of the minority.
Yeah. It's like this small but really vocal group can shut down whole conversation.
Oh, wow.
Just out of fear of offending someone,
It's a tough one, right? Because on the one hand, yeah, we want inclusivity, respect, create a space where everyone feels safe to share ideas.
Of course, yeah.
But then on the other hand, we need to be able to challenge each other, engage in these debates, even if they get a little heated.
Absolutely, yeah. So, the technological republic, it really leaves you with a lot to chew on, doesn't it?
It does. It's thought-provoking, for sure. It makes you convert some hard truths about, the West's place in the world.
Definitely. So for you, what really stood out? Like, what resonated most?
I think for me it was Karp's emphasis on, like, a renewed sense of ambition and purpose. It's so easy to get lost in the day-to-day and forget about the big picture,
Yeah. Yep.
This book, it's a good reminder that, hey, we need to be thinking long-term about the kind of world we're building for ourselves and, for future generations.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this isn't just a Western thing. It's global. It's like, how do we as a global community face these challenges, these opportunities that come with, technology changing so rapidly? That's the question that really sticks with me.
That's a good one. Yeah. Lots to think about.
For sure.
That's all for this episode of Book Bites. We hope you enjoyed our review. And if you did, please like, share, and follow our podcast. And don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts on the book. We love hearing from our listeners.